Come, come, whoever you are. You are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter how you came here, if you came alone or with others, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love or how you speak or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes, you are welcome here. If you come with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands, then you are indeed welcome here.
Good morning. I feel so blessed this morning to be surrounded by my community. I'm a little nervous because it's been a while since I've been here. But this morning I want to share words with you that come from Thomas Dorsey. These words were written in 1929. Thomas Dorsey, they considered him the father of gospel music. But not only did he do gospel music, but he did blues because he had to make a living. In 1929, he was on his way to a performance. He left his pregnant wife and their unborn child. He left them for him to go make a few dollars. He was a black man, played piano, and he was quite a musician. But before he could get back home, he got the word that his wife Nettie had died. Not only did Nettie die, the baby also died. And during that time, he didn't know whether he was going to sing gospel or whether he was going to play the blues. These were the words that he wrote. He said, "Take my hand." And then he said, "Precious Lord, take my hand." Not just, "Lord, take my hand." Precious Lord, take my hand. And these are his words that were written in 1929. This is my friend Cassandra. She's going to work with me this morning. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the night, through
Wow, that was really incredible. Thank you so much. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of New Orleans, a congregation gathered in love since 1833 to seek wholeness and work for justice in the world. I am Sigrid. My pronouns are they and them. If you are a visitor, we invite you to raise your hand so we can greet you. Woo! Also, we want to make sure everyone in attendance can hear the service. So if you are unable to hear any of the speakers, please wave your hand and we will speak up, get closer to the mic, do all of those things. If anyone of any age would like some activities, fidgets, or toys to help them be more present in the service, you can find pew packs for different age ranges over by the main entry door. Please help yourself. You can be any age you want to be at UU Church in terms of those pew packets. After the time for all ages this morning, children are welcome to follow our teachers to the kids' room. The kids' room is set up during Sunday services for guided learning and play about UU values. If you want to learn more about our religious exploration programming, you can find a member of our RE team during the hour. Our RE team, raise your hands. They're right in the front and the back. Find them everywhere. As a lay-led congregation, we invite a variety of worship leaders from our congregation and the broader community to give the sermon and contribute to other parts of the service. This week we have somebody who is both a member of the broader community and a member of the UU Church. Our worship leader today is Orleans Parish District 2 School Board Representative, community organizer, and mother of Louis, Gabriela Biro. Please rise in body or spirit for the lighting of our chalice and join me in reading the word of mid-19th century UU minister Edward Everett Hale that you will find at number 457 in your gray hymnal. Four fifty-seven. Gray hymnal. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do something that I can do. Please remain as you are for our opening hymn, which you will find in the gray hymnal number 109 as we come marching. Now is the time that we welcome all of those here who are either young or young at heart to join RE team member Michael Martin on the carpet squares for a story.
Good morning. This book is called Dolores Huerta, A Hero to Migrant Workers. She looks like a nice lady, doesn't she? Yeah, she looks like a nice lady. This is Dolores. Dolores is a teacher, but her students are too hungry to listen. They are too sick to play. They have no shoes to wear at recess. Dolores is a detective. She follows the kids home. She asks the moms why their kids are hungry and sick. She asks the dads why their children don't have shoes. The parents say their bosses don't pay them enough money for good food or new clothes or a visit to the doctor. These parents work hard. They pick grapes all morning. They pick grapes all afternoon. They pick grapes until night, but they are paid too little and shoes cost too much. Dolores is a friend. The farm workers tell her their troubles. They don't get fresh water. They don't get bathroom breaks. Their hard work is worth more than what they are paid. Friends look out for each other, so Dolores decides to take a stand. Dolores is a warrior. She walks right up to the bosses. She asks them to give the workers rest breaks and to let them stay home when they're sick. She asks each boss to pay the workers enough money for shoes and books. They say no. The bosses say that if they give the workers more money, they will have to raise the price of the grapes. Then nobody will buy them. This excuse is not good enough. The kids still need food. The kids still need medicine. The kids still need shoes. Dolores is an organizer. Can you read some of those signs, guys? What do they say? Yes, it can be done. A bunch of signs. She asked the people to strike. They will not work until the bosses start to listen. Instead of picking grapes, the workers stand outside the farms. They shout, they sing, they write strike, and yes, it can be done on signs they hold up high. Dolores is a storyteller. When the bosses won't change their minds, she tells stories that show why their farms are not healthy places to work. She tells shoppers, she tells crowds, she tells television reporters, she tells senators, mayors, and governors. Many people listen, some people don't. Dolores is a peacemaker. She doesn't use violence to make the bosses pay attention. She grabs them with her words. She encourages the workers to use their voices too until the bosses learn how to play fair. Dolores is a mother. Changing the bosses' minds take a long time, and she misses her kids. The mothers and fathers on strike miss their kids too. While some workers argue with the bosses, others watch the children play and keep them safe. Dolores is a woman. Some people think she should quiet down and let the men do the talking. Dolores just gets louder. She asks other women to speak up too. Their voices rise up together, booming over the farm, roaring into the city, rumbling across the country. Dolores is a fortune teller. She predicts the future. She tells the bosses that if they don't pay the workers well for their hard work, the workers will stop picking the grapes, and the grapes will rot. She tells the bosses that if people hear workers are mistreated, nobody will buy their grapes. All of Dolores' predictions come true. The farms become empty. The grapes are left on the vine. Nobody will pick them. Nobody will buy them. Finally, the strikes begin to work. The bosses tell the workers that if they come back, they can take rest breaks. The bosses will raise their pay. The workers will get money to buy food, medicine, and shoes for their children. The workers are happy, but Dolores is not finished. Dolores is a hunter. She hunts for other bosses who need to take care of their workers. Dolores tells them to listen or else. Dolores is a teacher. She teaches people how to work as a team. She teaches people how to take care of each other. This is Dolores. And there's a timeline, and that's it. Dolores Huerta.
So everyone, today's choir anthem is going to include some audience participation. In your order of service, you will find the choir parts from Do You Hear the People Sing? If you don't know them, and we are asking for people to sing along just on the chorus. Just on the chorus. Now, most weeks this is when we do a meditation, but this is a special week because this is the week when we do joys and sorrows before our time of silence. Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we find meaning. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified, a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. We take this moment to reflect on our joys and sorrows and acknowledge the mutual support of our community. If you would like, You may come forward and release a stone in the water. In silence or with a brief verbal expression of a special joy or sorrow, and please line up along that wall.
I stand here trying to turn a rage and anger into just a sorrow to share with you. But I have a very deep sorrow about the Supreme Court's decision to gut the Voter Right Act and how it is being handled within our state and our elections. And please help me to move this to sorrow. Send me some prayers, because rage and anger, oof. Thank you.
Everything she said. Plus, I'm going to bring it a little closer to home. My joy for the last 10 days has been our chairs back. Yay! And the sorrow has been, well, okay, it complicated things a little bit. So, but the joy has been we're working on it diplomatically and with Rain and with the community. And so I appreciate everyone's patience. And we will be moving chairs after we fellowship, after coffee, after we greet our visitors, and then if there are a couple of people who can help move chairs, talk with me. That's a joy and a sorrow, and I think it was another joy, so I lost count.
Thank you, Beverly. There's no more pebbles left. I have a big joy, and that would be Jazz Fest. And this Jazz Fest, they paid tribute to a woman who has brought so much joy to our community and around the world, and that's Marcia Ball. And unfortunately, she has ALS, and it was her last performance during Jazz Fest, which was heartbreaking. Thank you.
My joy today is speaking in front of all of you later, but this past Friday I spoke at a May Day rally, and I feel like I know everyone at rallies now, and part of that is knowing you fellowship people. I saw Eileen and Margot, and it felt really good to know that I have people from my faith community too when I go out to actions.
I wasn't really expecting to come up here today, but I really appreciated this morning's story for all ages, because it triggered a memory going back to the late 60s before I left California. And at the time, my circle of friends, seriously supported the farm workers. And part of that involved which brand of wine we would buy. We, as I recall, we certainly refused to buy Gallo, and we bought Almaden because that was one of the winemakers that supported the farm workers.
Well, that's interesting, Kathy. I'm old enough to say also that I wore a pin that said boycott grapes a very long time ago. But anyway, I want to share a joy I have. My grandson, Christopher Lebrano, is graduating from St. Thomas University on Sunday, next Sunday, with a degree in biochemistry, and I'm very proud of him.
Good morning again. I have many joys. I'm gonna not even think about the sorrows, but I want to talk about my joys today. One of the joys is that I'm getting ready for my pilgrimage to Chicago on Saturday. So I'll miss you guys for some of this humidity during the summer months. But I always tell my pew partner over there, don't think that I've died and gone to heaven, but I'll be back. And one of the big joys that I have celebrating this Thursday, we're talking 83. I've been through a lot, but I'm glad to be here. And I'm glad that all of you will be here, that you are here. And I feel so loved, like I said, by this community. That's what keeps me here, is the love of my community, and I'm so glad to be a part of it.
Amen, amen. I had a joy, but now I got two joys. Just reminded of how much I love Miss Gwen and how glad I am that she is one of the people in this congregation that I got to know and get to call a friend. The first, or the thing I was going to say was that 2 years ago, my non-tenure track colleagues on the Uptown campus of Tulane University did something that I would have said was impossible, that most everyone around them would have said was impossible, which was that they organized and voted to have a union in this quote-unquote right-to-work state with a record number of yeses in their vote. It was astounding. And then just 2 days ago, after 2 hard years of negotiation, they have a tentative contract with the university that the university has agreed to. And this will be the first union of higher education employees in the state of Louisiana. Si se puede. All right.
Si se puede. So this is a hard one for me. I just cannot avoid lifting up a sorrow that seeing the union representation, the farm workers union representation is brought to mind. And that is that it brings to mind, we haven't said his name yet, but it brings to mind Cesar Chavez, and who was the leader of, he was the president of the Farm Workers Union. And I worked for the Farm Workers Union as a teenager from the time I was 14 until I was about 21. And I worked first as a volunteer and then as an organizer. And I worked in the state of Florida, so I didn't have a lot of contact with the people in California. But I had a small amount of contact with Cesar and a larger amount of contact with Dolores Huerta. And I am deeply disturbed and dismayed to have learned all these years later that Cesar Chavez was a pedophile, and that he abused many women, including Dolores Huerta, and I cannot see him lifted, I cannot see the union lifted up without naming that, because it needs to be named. And so I just lift that up, not to tear down the union, but to name what has happened for all survivors, and so that we tell the truth about what has happened, and so that it doesn't get forgotten or relived again.
May we remember those who have spoken, those they have named, and those we hold in the silence in our hearts. let us enter into a time of silence, which we will close by singing together. Voice still and small, the words can be found in your order of service. Please join me as we read our responsive reading to Free the Heart, found at number 546 in your gray hymnals. You're responding with the ones in italics. Through dreary, sodden days, the field sponged up the graying skies. And now the sun lies soft as earth again, as if the earth had just begun. And blossoms on the vines, designed in spring, come out to sing again. As through the seasons of our years, becoming often wastes the nourishment of tears.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gabriela Biro, and this past Friday, I spoke at a May Day rally in my capacity as a school board member. I only achieved that role because I happened to be in the right place at the right time, and someone turned to me and asked, "Can you do it?" I've come to recognize this as one of my graces, that in a pinch, I can create something from nothing. So when the worship team reached out and asked if I would give the sermon today, I said yes without hesitation. I'm new to this congregation and to Unitarian Universalism, but I'm grateful to have found this church, to feel comfortable in a house of worship again. I also want to thank Dwayne for planting the seed. Hearing about the healing he experienced, reconnecting with his faith on his own terms, and the joy his role as choir director has brought him, opened the door for me. I was born in 1990 to an undocumented mother who fled the narco hub of Chihuahua, Mexico, and a suburban Connecticut punk rocker descended from Hungarian-Irish immigrants. My parents were an unlikely pair. The only thing they had in common was their age and their Catholic faith. My mother had been an elementary school teacher in Mexico,
traveling onto tribal land to educate the Raramuri children who are Native ancestors. Staying with them for 2 weeks at a time, she would educate them. That was until the cocaine trade of the 1980s transformed her border community into a hotbed of cartel violence. When a cartel member became romantically fixated on her, she became a target. Colleagues told her that she could work as a nanny in the United States, make more than she ever could as a teacher, and lay low, and she did. When the family she worked with moved to New England, she moved with them, and at a Labor Day party, she met my father. When she became pregnant, they kept me married and later divorced, as good Catholics do. My grandfather built their family home out of mud. After the Mexican Revolution, the new government allotted farmland to landless peasants who had labored under the hacienda system. My grandfather turned that plot into a working farm and began spending half of the year in the United States as a migrant farm worker. He told my mother, "The US is a rich and beautiful place, but the people are cruel, and you must never go to the Deep South, because they are the cruelest there, and they hate anyone who isn't an Anglo-Saxon Protestant." Oops. When I first moved to New Orleans, my mother was afraid to visit because of this warning. When she finally came, I nervously asked her what she thought, and she said she loved it. She loves parades, live music, and gambling, so I wasn't entirely surprised. When I pressed her on what she specifically liked, she smiled and said, "It's so Catholic." When I was 5 years old, my mother took me to see Dolores Huerta speak at a United Farm Workers rally. I didn't know who she was. My mother told me that she helped people like my grandfather have dignity in their work. I could see the hope Dolores inspired in my mother in the crowd around us. I didn't have the words for it then, but that day was formative. It planted something in me. My parents divorced when I was in the 2nd grade. My mother raised me as a single parent through very difficult years. Eventually, she found a job at the state of Washington. She had sponsored her brother for a visa at the time, and there were only a handful of expressly gay-friendly cities, and Seattle was one of them. In that job, my mother came into her own. She became a chief shop steward with ASHME. She took me to strike actions. I remember how proud we were to both march on the Day Without Immigrants in 2006. I went on to organize student walkouts against the Iraq War and later got involved in the Occupy Wall Street and Black Lives Matter movements. My mother and I share the same values, but for me, activism and faith were entirely separate things at that time. I believed that the church was ultimately a tool for domination and maintaining the status quo. My mother and I became deeply divided during the papacy of Pope Benedict. The sex abuse scandals disgusted me, though honestly, they were just the final straw. I had begun questioning my faith around the age of 8 and was never confirmed. But even at my most contrarian atheist stage, I carried a soft spot for Catholic culture and art. One of my most prized possessions is my paternal grandmother's framed picture of JFK. She kept it above her rotary phone. I believe she kept it as a symbol of how far Irish Catholics had come, how we had overcome prejudice, how he was our president. Even when I rejected the religion, I couldn't separate myself from the identity. I saw it as an underdog identity, because on the social hierarchy, Catholics always stood below WASPs. I remember a child telling me that I wasn't a real Christian because my family worshiped idols. Yet in my father's New England, it seemed like white Catholics had abandoned all solidarity with other oppressed people the moment Irish and Italian surnames were admitted into whiteness. I kept finding myself drawn to the exceptions, figures like Mother Jones, who after losing everything organized so many workers that she was called the most dangerous woman in America, or Bernadette Devlin, the Irish civil rights MP, who was given the key of the city to New York and in an act of solidarity with Black liberation movement, handed it directly to the Harlem chapter of the Black Panther Party. Why weren't there more Catholics like that? When Pope Francis took over the Vatican, something shifted in the church and in me. I began to soften. I asked my mother how she reconciled her very progressive beliefs with an often regressive institution. She told me that she doesn't let the politics of the church dictate her values, that if you are truly faithful to the New Testament, you are living a life of social justice. She told me she interpreted her labor actions as her vocation, that we are called to be present to the suffering of this earth and our fellow human beings, rather than waiting passively for heaven. My mother was born in 1964. The Second Vatican Council concluded in 1965, and Catholicism was never the same. In the post-Vatican II world, priests stationed in Latin America began preaching radical ideas when they witnessed the oppression their parishioners endured. These liberation theologies said that the church must act to bring about social change, that it must ally itself with the working class. Some became involved in politics and trade unions. Some aligned themselves with revolutionary moments. Jesuit priests popularized what they called the preferential option for the poor, rooted in canon's law declaration that Christian faithful are obliged to promote social justice and assist the poor. That doesn't sound radical to me, but it terrified the ruling class. The CIA interfered in the organizing work of Latin American churches. Leaders were assassinated. In El Salvador in 1980, right-wing extremists murdered 4 American nuns. Be a patriot, kill a priest became a battle cry for those who believed that anyone who sided with the poor was a communist, even nuns, priests, and bishops. I am grateful to see a streak of that radical spirit in our new Pope. And last Mother's Day, I had the honor of visiting my grandmother and mother to celebrate my grandmother's 90th birthday. On the flight there, the Vatican went into conclave, and I had the privilege of being the one to tell her that the new Pope was American. She didn't believe me at first. You see, I've always been the black sheep of the family until I won my school board seat. With the endorsement of the United Teachers of New Orleans and the greater AFL-CIO. I'm still an outlier. My spirituality is best described as hippy-dippy, esoteric, Gnostic-ish, but because my family and I all believe that the human soul and love are the most important things in life, we have a shared framework, and that framework has given me a way to connect with anyone, spiritual or not. The work of liberation is a fight for the freedom of the human soul. I believe that God did not put us on earth to toil for capitalists. We are here to find our vocation and make the world more just. And I think that's a much easier sell than saying you should suffer for the rich in hopes of getting to paradise. My husband and I have made revitalizing the labor movement a family mission. I work as a hairstylist. All day I hear individual stories of hardship, and I know that if workers banded together, we could say collectively, I do not consent. I try to empower pink-collar workers to organize because women's labor has been stolen since the dawn of modern civilization. My husband, Cody, worked as an engineer at NASA Michoud's assembly facility and realized that his office of non-union engineers hadn't received a raise in 20 years, while unionized trade people bargain for their contracts every cycle. He knew that white-collar workers are no better than anyone else. He organized his office into the UAW and now serves as the labor chair for our local DSA chapter. Together, we are working to prepare this country for a general strike. We are living through what looks very much like a repeat of the early 20th century, but we know what tactics worked then. And now, in a century where so many people feel alienated from nature, themselves, and faith, I believe the spirit of liberation theology could be the key. It can reach the people who don't yet see themselves in this struggle, but should, because none of us are free until all of us are free. That is the work, and I'm so glad to be doing it alongside you.
I was raised Unitarian Universalist, but I really think learning, it was like Catholic and socialist Catholic activists in Latin America that made me understand Unitarian Universalism. My grandmother is from Argentina, so when I was young, my mom taught me about the desaparecidos, these young Catholic socialist activists in Argentina who risked their lives and died returning the country to democracy. And I realized that that is faith, that they believed so strongly in democracy, in the freedom of Latin Americans, and the freedom of workers in Argentina to decide their future. They were willing to die for it, and the name they gave that faith was God. Generosity is a shared UU value. As UUs, we agree to cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We understand that generosity is a spiritual discipline that connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. We can practice our generosity either by placing an offering in the collection plate, which is going around, or by using the information on your order of service to give electronically.
Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everyone will change. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. The young becomes the old, and mysteries do unfold. The way of time, nothing and no one goes unchanged. There are not many things in life that you can be sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, the sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. Winter comes to spring. Mysteries are, but never much too soon. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. There are not many things in life that you can be sure of,
We are sad to say goodbye for now to Gwendolyn Dunnigan, our member and sometimes soloist, who leaves for her summer residence in Chicago later this week. Will you please join me in wishing her a happy 83rd birthday on Thursday? Gifts to this community of faith are gratefully received. Let us acknowledge these gifts, both of music and offerings, by reading together the words in your order of service. This gift from the abundance of my life blesses me, our ministry, and the world. Giving in the offering plate and pledging are part of how we steward this congregation. There are countless other ways to serve, build community, and share our love with the rest of the city. Here are a few opportunities coming up. First, there will be a congregational meeting after the service on May 17th. Childcare and a light lunch will be provided. Please plan to attend if you can. We will vote on the nominating team's slate of new board members, as well as a motion regarding the potential purchase of a new church building. Is that still happening? Yes, it is still happening. I mean, the vote. Still come to the meeting. There may or may not be a building. Funo needs 2 members to serve as official delegates to the UUA General Assembly this spring from Sunday, June 14th to Tuesday, June 16th. Delegates will engage in a fully virtual general session focused on the business of the association. Online programming resumes Friday, June 19th through Sunday, June 21, with worships, workshops, and featured lecturers, including the annual WHERE lecture, and Meet the Moment themed programs. To serve as a delegate, applicants should have access to a reliable internet connection and be willing and able to attend, observe, and vote at the Sunday to Tuesday general sessions. Your General Assembly ticket will be paid for by the church, and you will be able to take advantage of and attend all of the other programming. The link to the application, which also contains the link to the agenda, so you can see what you're getting into first, can be found in this week's digest or by using the announcements QR code on the back of your order of worship. Please apply by May 9th. I think also in your digest is the feedback form, correct? Yep, thank you, Justin. Please give feedback to our services so you can have more of the types of services you like. Announcement about the chairs. Please don't immediately start moving chairs. We're going to say hi to everyone, get some coffee, and then if you want to be a chair moving helper, meet with Beverly. Spotlight announcement, Linda. I didn't miss any announcements, right, guys?
Two announcements. One is that after the service, about 15 minutes, get your coffee, and then we'll have the anti-racism and anti-oppression ongoing conversation where we're going to talk about our socialization. And I wanted to tag along with what was said about the Supreme Court's decision. And for anybody who had the foresight to register as no party, or anyone who is a member of no party, encouraging you to use this opportunity to vote Republican in the Republican ballot in the primary, even though they're saying that it's not going to count. Everybody needs to vote the entire ballot because it is being contested in court. And, you know, if you don't vote, then for sure you're not going to get your voice heard. But if you do vote and it gets counted, then your voice will count for more because there will be other people who will not have voted. So there are very few Democrats in the Democratic primary. There's either no candidates for some of the offices or the candidates are uncontested. So again, if you have registered no party, this is the time to look at what the Republican slate is and have an impact on that, who will be running against the Democratic candidates. If you have any questions, let me know, and I have the full slate of all of the people who are running in the state of Louisiana for all the offices, and you can see me after the service. Thank you.
Please stand in body or spirit to join in our chalice extinguishing, which is in your order of worship. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we hold in our hearts until we are together again. Please remain as you are for our closing hymn, which you will find in the gray hymnal, number 157. Our benediction has been taken from the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. Dear God, make us attentive to those who seek work but cannot find it. Help us listen to the struggles of those who work hard to provide for their families but still have trouble making ends meet. Open our eyes to the struggles of those exploited, and help us speak for just wages and safe conditions, the freedom to organize, and time for renewal. For work was made for humankind, and not humankind for work. Let it not be a vehicle for exploitation, but a radiant expression of our human dignity. Give all who labor listening hearts, that we may pause from our work to receive the gift of rest. Fill us with a Holy Spirit that might work through us to let justice reign. At its founding, our church was known as the Strangers' Church. Please turn and greet your neighbors and join us for coffee hour just outside the front chapel door to your right.